You see, as long as I'm not blowing out the mic. Now that I actually can hear the theme at the countdown, like I understand, like I already liked it, but I understand why so many people like it because I get more excited as we get the countdown going. So how is it going, everybody? I would say a pretty explosive way to start the NASCAR Xfinity Series season, depending on which way of explosive you like or dislike when it comes to either way on that. We had the CW in its true new form start off their new era in their different way. We had dominant guys fall out, big wrecks, rookies all over the place. So I'm going to ask you now, out of 10, put it in the chat what you thought of this race. I'm already seeing people rating the CW, rating, I should say. I want to know what you guys think about this race. Now, I will say, we are going to be looking at unofficial results more than anything else. NASCAR is still going to be sifting through this for a little bit. So I'm going to read off what the unofficial results are. But one other thing, I said it Wednesday night on NWP. Can you feel the love? Because I picked Jesse Love to win this race, and it worked out pretty darn well for me. I'm just saying. I have to do my not so humble brag on this one. I always love it when I'm able to pick the race early on in the week. Yes, there you go. And you feel the love tonight. I'm not even going to attempt to sing it like in the movie. I would say this before we go into anything else, just because he is confirmed the winner, unless NASCAR takes away another win this week. That was, I think, a well-deserved win. And Jesse Love, I think, is somebody to watch this year. I think he's going to improve a lot from last year. RCR in the Xfinity Series is a pretty darn good race team. On my end, I see him jumping out of the roof hatch right now, celebrating again on the replay. Really well-run race. It wasn't exactly the most dominant guy by any means during the race. I mean, by no means was he the best guy out there. It was Austin Hill, whether you love or hate him, call him the big bully, whatever. Austin Hill was the guy to beat this race. And ultimately, the mechanical issues kind of made the team beat themselves. But overall, RCR has the super speedway still under control. Looking on this end, because they do have how many laps led. Jesse Love had 30 laps led tonight out of the 126, and 56 of those went to Austin Hill. So you're looking at just utter domination. 86 of 126 laps led tonight. Let me do the math on that really quick. And when I say do the math, I mean plug it into my calculator because I can't think on the fly that much. It is just over 68% of the laps led tonight from RCR. I mean, again, just as dominant as you can get, I think, in the Xfinity Series. Dirty Def in here says, Hill won both stages. Love won the race. I mean, every metric you can look at, man. But let's look at the unofficial results. Let's kind of sift through where we're at with all of this. I have to stress these are all unofficial. The race was 126 laps long, the 2025 United Rentals 300. 8 cautions for 38 laps, 24 lead changes, 2 hours, 32 minutes, 17 seconds. Margin of victory. It was under caution again, which I know a lot of people are not too happy about. And while we're going through this, by the way, out of 10, I want you guys in the chat to tell me now what you thought of the CW. I think we might be able to talk about them after we talk a little bit about the results and race. Personally, for those who got it, because I know that that's still a problem of some CWs just not honoring the contract and showing like paid programming or random crap that NASCAR is better than. I thought that the broadcast was really solid. I'd probably give it about a 7 or 8, leaning closer to the 8 out of 10 range on it. I thought they were pretty good. I really did. And I'll go more in detail on that after a bit. But let's look at the unofficial results of this race. And while you guys are spamming those numbers, I see a lot of, for the most part, positivity. I will say, yeah, did not definitely need to hear the crowd. Did like, I did like the leaderboard that, NASCAR out here saying, I like how the leaderboard is on the bottom of the screen as opposed to the left side. I'm with you on that. Like, I liked it. I didn't know how I would. I compared top to bottom. I do like it on the bottom. Um, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So the unofficial results as we have them now, and they're updating as we go. So I will be updating these as I go. So the top 5 is, I believe, set in stone. Jesse Love wins the race. Sam Mayer is in the second position. Sheldon Creed third. Carson Kvapil in fourth. And now Taylor Gray has been moved up to the fifth position. At least that's what it's saying on my end. I'll look at the raw feed really quick and see if they've changed it, because they still have Jordan Anderson as the fifth place person right now. But they have Taylor Gray, and then Harrison Burton would be in the sixth position. So fifth is Taylor Gray. Sixth, Harrison Burton is what they have. I know that everyone is showing different ones. I'm just showing NASCAR as they update it. And while we're doing that, I'm actually going to put you guys in the chat just in case there's anything new that you guys find, and we'll roll with that too. Jeremy Clements, yes, did have the fastest lap. I appreciate the CW showing that more, and they're just showing it on the screen on my end too. They followed that through the night. I appreciate that, because that's going to be important at some point. Maybe not for Jeremy Clements, but somewhere in the field, that's going to be very important during this season. So with Harrison Burton moved up to the sixth spot, I should say, that moves Jordan Anderson back to the seventh position. After that, we've got eighth for Dean Thompson now in the 26. So we'll put Dean Thompson there. You'll see it on the bottom. I'll put it on the bottom once it's updated. Jeremy Clements in the ninth position. This all according to NASCAR.com right now. I know the CW website is down and not showing stuff and just not honoring the agreement in any way. Patrick Emmerling would be 10th on this end. And I gotta keep this up. Oh yeah. Eric's on TV. Not a boy, Eric. But yeah, Patrick Emmerling gets a top 10 finish today in the 10th spot, at least unofficially, if I can speak. Matt Benedetto in 11th, then Christian Eckes, Cesar Baccarella. Is it Baccarea? I think so. I never can say his name right. I feel bad because I butcher names. Josh Bilicki, 14th, 15th, Joey Gase, Jeb in 16th, 17th, Ryan Truex, then Allgaier, Ryan Sieg, Josh Williams, the top 20, Leland Honeyman in 21st. Yeah, there's Eric. Alfredo in 22nd, it says. And then Ellis, a lap down in 23rd. 24th is Sammy Smith. Both those a lap down, 3 laps down for Bonsignor. Then out of the race is a lot of the rest of these guys. Van Alst in 26th, 27th, Zilich, 28th, Sawalich, 29th, Retzlaff. 21 laps down for 30th place, Brennan Poole. The rest of the guys out are Garrett Smithley in 31st, Chris Wright, 32nd, which crazy incident there. Austin Hill, dominant night, ends with a 33rd place finish. 34th for Blaine Perkins, Nick Sanchez, 35th, Kyle Sieg, 36th, Brandon Jones, 37th, and Daniel Dye finishes dead last. Michael Waltrip sobbing somewhere in the distance. But we will save this, and we're going to put the unofficial results on the screen. I probably spelled somebody's name wrong, so just let me know in the chat below. But yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I'd probably give the race about a 7-8. I was pretty positive about tonight. I don't like the way it finished. Obviously, it's not the greatest thing. They have on the screen the finishing order and points earned and all of that. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best way to finish, obviously. By the way, those leaving super chats, we'll read those at the end. We'll just talk about the race itself as well. And then also, kind of, I will admit, kind of greedy on my end. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to. We are closing on an 84K, which is pretty cool. Um, but anyway, the race itself, I liked it. I liked that we could have green flag pit stops until we couldn't because of crashing. I liked that the handling again still mattered as it went. It wasn't like we were just basically riding in two trains and not much else other than that. You could see movement. You could see the best guy out there, Austin Hill, was still challenged as dominant as he was. It wasn't like the race was completely settled for him at different points. I like this Jarrett selling out. That's funny. I don't know if that's sarcastic or not, but that's really funny to me. But overall, I thought the racing was pretty good. Now, the wrecking at the end, not crazy about. Not crazy about at all, unfortunately. But, you know, is what it is. Ticker on the bottom gives me TNT vibes. Yes. Not, I swear this check keeps moving. What about Parker's DNF last night? Any new news developments on that? Nothing. Nothing. They're appealing it this week, and they'll find out. He wasn't really wanting to talk about it, at least what he put on social media. But overall, I mean, it's a normal Xfinity race. I think the racing tonight will be better than the racing is tomorrow. I think tomorrow it's just going to be, two trains blocking around, big ass wreck, and we end either under caution or in overtime under caution. Like that's pretty much been the kind of ingredients to a super speedway race for the Cup guys for a while. Tonight, at least before then, was a little different. Before it was the same. But yeah. So again, unofficial results on the bottom. As for CW, like I said, I did like the booth. I think there's obvious improvements that need to be made. The sound quality definitely needs to be improved. 2024. Okay. I appreciate it. I will, I don't know why it said 2024. I put 2025. I must not have saved it. Thank you. Much appreciated. I like Adam. I've been an Adam Alexander guy for a while, so I like that he has this role and he can lead an entire series. Much better than the leader of Trucks and ARCA. I'll say that. We'll talk about the the ARCA stuff after we talk about Xfinity. But anyway, I thought it was solid. Again, there's still a lot of changes though that need to be made, and I think improvements. It was definitely difficult to read the ticker as much as I did like the location and the scale of it. But I will take smaller changes or changes that can be made to make it better. That aren't, the talent is awful. They're completely lost on everything they're doing. Now it is Daytona. They're probably gonna put a lot more effort into it. So we'll have to see the ensuing weeks. There's 12 straight weeks. We'll really get a good gauge of how good they are after that. Definitely. And let them know on social media, because right now is like that development stage, and that's probably the most receptive they'll be to that kind of stuff long term for a while. And we're stuck with them for 7 years. So all the problems that they have with that can be fixed, let's get them fixed. But the race itself, like I said, early on, we would see just pretty much what we'd see all night. And that was the RCR guys being fast, Austin Hill at the front being super, super fast. Yeah, this will be a problem too. That will definitely be a problem. And Austin Hill went straight to the front early in this race to no one's surprise. Like if anyone was surprised that Austin Hill was dominant in this race and leading just a metric shit ton of it, like you haven't been watching these races for a while. But with that, we also got crashes. The two would bump the 20, and the bump went wrong. Sends Brandon Jones kind of up into the field. It's off. There's about a 7-8 car wreck with that. Some of these guys knocked out, like Jones and Danny Dye. Others not as much. They're just sorry, I'm turning this off. There's no more racing, so might as well. Some of them having issues throughout the night, but being able to compete. Some of them had damage and still were able to compete for the win at the end. At one point, Connor Zilic, who was involved in this wreck, was running second and battling for the lead up there. But a lot of hard hits tonight, starting out with that. And we saw, like, again, little bits of train racing here in the first stage. We saw train racing. We saw it a little bit in stage 2 and 3 and at different points like that. But it was the weirdest caution of the night, because we always have to have one of these at super speedways in one way or another. Is just a weird ass caution, or one that we're not expecting to have happen. It was Brennan Poole on lap 20. Brennan Poole has his hood fly up, debris comes off of it, and we're looking at a caution at this point. 5 laps left in the stage. And Austin Hill goes on to win it pretty easily over Sheldon Creed. Sanchez in third had a pretty fast car until he didn't. Jeb Burton in fourth. Fifth was Alfredo, who they had kind of announcer jinxed at one point. They mentioned him, and then all of a sudden it turned into nope. It wasn't going to happen. Leland Honeyman, sixth in stage 1, then Allgaier, Dean Thompson, Jesse Love, and Taylor Gray. And that's what I talked about earlier about Jesse Love winning this race. Is it was not like a normal RCR super speedway race, while it also was, in the sense it was, because they led the laps, they led the, and won the stages, won the race. But in the past, especially early in the year, it's like just the 21, the 2 up front, and they're just running the show. And it's like a flashback to prime, Dale Jr., Michael Waltrip at DEI, or, Jeff and Jimmy at times at Hendrick, Kenseth and Biffle at Roush. It was not like that at all tonight. It was almost basically just split in 2/3 in the last third, and the first 2/3 was 21, and then the 2 emerged, and it was like, oh, now's my time to shine. So yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see at Atlanta and Talladega, like what can be done, like what can be done by the rest of the field to fight these guys. The JRM guys had all 4 of them lined up, couldn't do anything against the 2. We did see the Haas team, the 4100, like they actually challenged tonight. And they were a legit challenge to the 21 or the 2. Didn't matter who was up front. I think if anyone is going to spoil their party, and not just for one race, but I'm saying like half the season, head to head, it's probably going to be the 41 and the 00, at least from what we saw tonight and what we've seen in the past. Eventually, Sheldon Creed will get a win. He didn't get a second place finish tonight, but eventually he'll get a win. But I do think they're probably going to be dominant at least the first half of the year. Again, I've seen this happen before so many times, and it's weird saying this now that I've watched the sport over 20 years. I've seen the ebb and flows in Cup and Xfinity, especially of dominant teams in these super speedway races. And you'll think that they got it, and then all of a sudden somebody's creeping up, and they're creeping up, and they're creeping up, and then finally, like, they just nail it. And the 41, the 00 might be that this year. They really might. JRM always will be solid. Like, I think it's a point of pride for Dale Earnhardt Jr. that they have to be good there. But it's going to be interesting, especially with so many rookies in the field. I think we're going to see a lot in general. We're going to see a lot of people challenging at different points, maybe having solid runs at different points. But I think with so many young drivers, new drivers, rookie drivers, I think we're probably going to see like a couple guys be just super dominant early in the year, and then the rest come on as the year goes on. We've seen that before too. We go into stage 2 and get it back going. There was a bit of a split pit on the last caution before stage 1 ended, which meant that the top 5 who had pitted beforehand stay out, which means Justin Allgaier gets the lead with Harrison Burton, which I'll say this, he was not really leading all that much. He ran up front for a good portion of the race, but Harrison Burton, I will give him credit. Granted, super speedway, but it's much better than the 25s run to super speedway in a while. Not just last year, but just in general. Good on him for being up there and competitive. We expect him to be, and I get that there probably is going to be, an obvious and even regression back to the middle of the pack for him, but it's a better start than they've had. And so good on him as well. And you know what? People think I'm being a little too positive. It's the start of the year. I'm always happy at the start of the year. And then you just see like it's a steady, it's like the ratings. It's just a steady decline down as the year goes. Then it's finally by the end, I'm like, just let it end. I'm so fucking angry. Um, and yeah, we'll talk more about a lot of the TV super chat stuff at the end. Just letting you know now. Be sure to subscribe. By the way, we'll be live at 10:30 Eastern time in the morning tomorrow for Daytona 500 pre-race, and then of course post race for the 500 as well. And live Wednesday night for NWP. So there's going to be plenty of stuff. Plus, we're live after pretty much every race in the top 3 series all season. So if you're new, subscribe. Can't wait to see you all year hanging out. But the second stage, for the most part, I will say was pretty normal. Like nothing really major happened. The 21 kind of led the way for the most part, and it ended with 2 to go in the stage with Nick Sanchez getting up into the wall in an accident. Just again, we're seeing a lot of this. We're going to see a lot of this probably this year of different things with mess ups here and there, or lock bumpers, stuff like that. Like I'm expecting a pretty wild Xfinity season. So Hill sweeps the stages, then Ryan Sieg gets a good amount of points in second in the stage. Creed in third, then Allgaier, Dean Thompson, who was pretty solid all night up front. Jeb Burton, I almost said Jeb Bush. It's Florida. Taylor Gray, William Sawalich, Anthony Alfredo, and Harrison Burton, the top 10 in the stage. And now we get to the final stage where just kind of everything broke loose. And with that, we have 56 to go. There's a report of fluid on the racetrack, and it's coming from the 21 car. You can see it on one of the tires. I believe it was the right rear. It's shiny, just really shiny. And you're seeing a lot of this fluid get up onto the hoods and windshields and cameras on the roof of a lot of the cars right behind him. And you're kind of knowing at this point that it's like this car, its life expectancy is not 56 laps. Like they basically just said, yeah, go out there, didn't tell him a damn thing, and they're just going to let him run until the damn thing breaks, which he did run pretty well. Restarted up front, grabbed the lead after not so good of a restart, kind of back and forth with Sheldon Creed while he still had those fluid issues. But it was around 40 to go when pit stops kind of started up, and it started up with the Chevys where Hill went in, they tried to fix it up and went laps down. And from the sound of it, they didn't necessarily confirm this, but I will trust Parker Kligerman and Jamie McMurray on this because they would know way better than me, as have, being in the sport either recently or still active. That basically it sounds like NASCAR just said, yeah, get it fixed, guys. Like a lot of these guys behind you can't see. You'd see on the rear view camera of the 21, as well as some of the cars behind on their cameras, you would just see how much condensation had built up, or just like fluids had built up in general, all over, and it was an issue. But he's going to be strong all year. Like I know that there's the momentary celebration. I guarantee he's breaking the records from like Dale Jr. and Stewart, and I think he passed Dale Earnhardt in a couple lists tonight. He's going to break those. Like I would just accept that if I were a lot of people. Now, granted, a lot of those drivers either didn't have as many races or years as Austin Hill, but doesn't matter. He's going to have the record regardless. And it's going to be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of Earnhardt and Stewart fans out there. Oh, but anyway, it's funny because my phone's at like 4%, but I'm keeping the chat up on multiple views just so I can see what you guys are saying. But anyway, we get it back going after, a couple pit stops here and there, a couple stay out long. With 33 to go, though, this is where kind of the powder keg starts blowing up and you start seeing the action pick up in this race. Heading to the pits, there's about 14 or so cars coming in, and oh, no, the only way that there's lighting in here is with the phone charger plugins. So if it dies, it dies. Is what it is. I would much rather look all pretty than have my phone fine, because I'll just charge it when I get off here. But anyway, Chris Wright is just going full Leroy Jenkins into the pits. Like everyone's slowing down to pit speed, and then you just see Chris Wright just flying right next to the inside wall, flies right into, I believe, the 91 as well as Ryan Truex a bit, totals his car, trashes that thing. And if anybody saw on social media, one of the guys in the pits like was blowing out the pit, with a leaf blower, because that's what they do to get a lot of the debris out of their pit. And he just like picks it up and uh doing the leaf blower, like blowing it at Chris Wright's car, which I thought was funny as hell. And Jonathan asking the real questions here. Um, has Chris Wright stopped yet? Eventually he did. Eventually. Yeah. Send it. Send it. But what it sounds like is that he, like, initially they'd said the brakes were an issue, then some said that the spotter was an issue. That's gonna be real fun through the week for people to kind of dive into with that, seeing how they have all the in cars and stuff now, and they're gonna be able to go in and really see what happened. But yeah, I like the where's that? There. He LePaged, he, LePaged is exiting pit road. Righted or written is entering pit road. And did they confirm it was a brake issue or did not stop? It sounded like it was. Some said though, and from what it sounded like, he said kind of like that it's a spotter issue. It's just not a good look. Not a good look for Mr. Wright in any way. Um, like blaming the spotter at that point, like really? Like, how can you not, I don't know. It's kind of like they said in the booth, like the spotter wasn't the one that has the 3 pedals on the floor and the steering wheel, right? That's the driver. Uh, I wouldn't say that I want to hear it all personally. I would want to hear it all before blaming the spotter, because it just something doesn't seem right with that, Yeah. He was really vague with the answer, and I like this one. Spotter told him to test the Hans device. Oh, a cute little puppy on it. Nice. Who's a good dog? Uh, but anyway, from there, it's on. 25 laps to go. They go back racing, 0-0 in the 2. They're dueling back and forth. And for a good while, and I say this for those who watch NWP, for a good while, it was Love, Creed, and Zilich, 1, 2, 3 up there, which the 3 hosts, me, Eric, and Danny, all picked. So good on us, I guess. We're somewhat smart. I guess there's a reason sometimes that people can tune in and watch. And you see, like, the top line would start forming, but then the bottom line would come back up. It was I'm loving some of these things you guys are putting. I'm sorry. Um, anyway, um, anyway, the 4 JRM cars start teaming up. Creed is leading for a moment, and then Love gets by, and they're kind of going back and forth. But Jesse Love is kind of putting on a clinic of blocking without wrecking yourself. Um, he's going back and forth. He's making these different moves while Creed makes other moves behind him and blocks him. And it was really Creed versus Love. That's the way that I kind of looked at it tonight. I think it was really Creed and Love were the 2 up front that were dueling the rest of the way. And from there, though, everybody else kind of popped up every now and then. Like Sam Mayer would pop up, Connor Zilich would pop up. There was Allgaier here and there. You had a lot of different people popping up, but it was those 2 were the constants. And I'd say 3 was Sam Mayer helping the 0-0. But it was not going to last. We all kind of knew it wasn't going to last. And with 8 to go, there's a big crash. The 19 went down into the 7, into his nose. I think that was on Bonsignor. He'd had a few issues kind of being a little erratic before, and then had gotten himself turned. It sucks because I really want to see him do well. I love saying his name. He has a great name to say. And if you've watched this channel and these streams for a while, you know that I will fixate on that kind of stuff. It was Justin. Yes, it was Justin on Justin crime. That's a great way to put it. But this sets the stage for a restart with 3 to go, with the 2 in the 0-0 on the front row. The 2 in the 54 get a great restart with that. And then there's another crash. Creed kind of goes low. There's a bit of a stack up in the middle of the backstretch with 2 laps to go. causes Zillich to go and be taken around into the wall, into the field. Rest of the field starts piling on into it. And we got what we think is our big ass crash, the biggest crash of the night. Boy, were we wrong. Boy, were we wrong. And it sets up overtime. The 2 is low on fuel. This is something that I give the CW credit for following both during the race and then following up on a little bit, in those closing laps and then heading into the restart. The final restart of the night. He's up front, 2 in the 41. 2 gets a big jump over the field, and at that point, he has control of the race, heading to the white flag. They crash as he's going by. Again, I know people don't like it. That one, there's no debate. There could have been a debate, I think, with the truck race people had. I think it was a very strong debate not to throw the caution for the duel, at least after the main pack crossed the line, then throw it or something like that. This one, there's no question. I mean, when you got cars parked on the tri-oval, there's no way you can let them race, even a little bit, because there's going to be guys lagging behind and stuff like that. At that point, you're just keeping it green strictly for entertainment, and you're being pretty dangerous with it. And so I don't think NASCAR should get any flack for that. It sucks because more than likely, if tomorrow ends out not too good, whether it be rain or running to the finish, either way, we're probably going to end under yellow on that one. And then basically every major speed week race is going to end under yellow, which I really don't want to see, because I've been waiting all winter for racing, and then not just Bowman Gray, no disrespect to them, but I want to see, like, racing on what is normal NASCAR tracks, whether it's Speed Week, whether it's Atlanta next week, whatever. Like, I want to see some green flag finishes, some really good finishes. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to. But it sucks. I get it. There's just not really much, I think, that we can really. I mean, there's not much they can do about that. The drivers crashed. There's just no way around that. Now, I know a lot of people also were bringing up the ARCA race today, and that was just prime ARCA. That's another one I don't think we're going to be too surprised with, that it devolved into craziness in any way. I did put out a funny tweet that kind of, to me, encapsulates ARCA. Where is it at? I put Butterbean, Elio, and Andy Jankowiak all in a line drafting at Daytona is a timeline that we all needed. And then there was crazy stuff. I mean, I think they were 90 minutes into the broadcast, and they had 8 minutes of green flag racing. And it didn't really get too much better. They had a long green run at one point. Yay. I mean, hang the banner. Race car drivers raced, hang the banner. But it was just crashing non-stop all night. And it's ARCA. The problem, I think, was in the booth. A lot of people noted it all night. It was in the booth. They had a caution, or they had a commercial with, like, a full screen commercial with 8 laps to go. And what's crazy to me, I will say this, is on social media, the amount of people who are bootlickers for Fox. Like, Fox does the most mind-numbingly stupid things or decisions, and there's people just like, well, they can't help it. Like hell, they can't. They can't help that their broadcast sucks. At least we got Cletus McFarland having an awesome interview and up in the booth. He was the best one in the booth all day. I ask, can we please stop with the Jamie Little experiment? Like, get Rick Allen. I mean, if Alan Bestwick has nothing to do, get him. I mean, at this point, hell, like, give me, like, $100 a race and a gift card to Taco Bell, and I'll do it. Like, I don't care, man. Jamie Little in the ARCA and truck booth, man. Oh, I don't want to hear a whole year of Jamie Little tripping over her words. I really, really don't. Because it was bad. It was really, really, really bad. There's so many, again, capable people we can have. Do we have to keep, just dicking around with people who obviously are in the wrong place? Rick Allen, man, I would love Rick Allen back. I'm tempted. I'm tempted to be one of those, as people would say, one of the boomers, and just throwing on MRN and not listening to the truck broadcasts. I don't watch as much ARCA. I'll watch maybe like 5, 6, 7 races a year ARCA wise. But trucks, I'm watching everyone, and it might get to the point where I'm just like, I give up. I give up. But all in all, we still have the Daytona 500 to go. We still have a lot of fun stuff, hopefully to look forward to tomorrow. And maybe through the year they can make it, some kind of experimental changes. I don't know. I don't know. As for super chats, there were a good amount, and I want to be sure I get to you guys on them, and I will be keeping an eye on the chat as well. But before the broadcast, Evergreen Mountain for the 5 had said, Creed is post up right behind Austin Hill. That's one of his favorite positions to be in the famous words of Sterling Archer, phrasing. That one will definitely be on the Instagram account NASCAR. I'll tell you that. SW says, we could have seen a final lap battle, but nope. Yep. Nope. We're not going to see a final lap battle, unfortunately. Twin Spinner says, instead of Austin Hill, we got Austin Hill Jr. If that's what people are going to call him, I don't know. Like if Austin Hill's the big bully, are we going to call Jesse Love the little bully, or like other big bully? Like I'm interested to what you guys have to say on that. By the way, I got like an itch on my nose, like right here. So if you see me doing this, I'm not picking my nose. I don't want the nose picker allegations popping up or anything. DJ said, I'm just at this point, I'm just excited for the Daytona 500 Junior next week. Daytona 500 Junior. Kyle here saying NASCAR needs to figure out the yellow at the end. That is 3 races this weekend decided with a yellow or by a yellow. Yes and no. With this one, there's no way you can avoid it. Like it's basically like the drivers need to stop crashing. Even if it's like towards turn 1 and 2, like there's really not much you can do. The one on Thursday, yes, like that one should not have been a yellow thrown until they all pass the line. What's the difference of those 2 seconds? I see a lot of like, just people holding water for everyone making wrong decisions. And their reasoning is nothing short of like, well, this is how it's been. Well, if how it's been can be improved, obviously, why would we not want to go and try and improve that? That's where I stick on this one. Reverend Rasheem Hall, Stewart for the 2. Hill, Creed, Zilish, and Allgaier, the championship 4. Very early prediction, bold prediction, especially, I would say in general, pretty bold. Would Creed finish second in that? Or is this year he going to finish third in every race? Twin Spinner says, Chris Wright hasn't outgrown his ARCA brakes yet. Yeah, that was bad. That was so bad. Below the Apron says Fox. Oh, nice Vader profile pic. Says Fox should be embarrassed by that trash ARCA race. That race should not have been on Big Fox. Just embarrassing. Yeah, the fact that we're getting big ARCA races and 3 big Fox ARCA. We're getting a Big Fox ARCA race. We're getting 3 Big Fox truck races, and we're getting only 4 for Cup. Like I get that NASCAR like kind of sold for the money on this one, but come on. Why can't we get a few more Cup races, especially early in the year on Big Fox? Not all of them are going to be going head to head with IndyCar. Some of them could lead into IndyCar and help both tides rise. Which, speaking of which, for those interested, Steve Phelps had a quote today saying, I think Fox did a good job with their IndyCar commercials. We want to root for IndyCar. Having motorsports rise helps everybody. With NASCAR being the king of the hill here in the United States, it's especially good for IndyCar. Probably not the answer a lot of people want him to give, but blame NASCAR, man. It's on NASCAR. It's nobody else but them. Don't blame Fox, because we know how bad Fox is. Fox has been bad also with football, especially with football. A lot of people I've noticed from the NFL sphere that I know are especially critical of Fox now too. That outside of like Greg Olson, everything on Fox is not very good. So I think it's just a Fox issue in general, not even a NASCAR one. NASCAR was just a canary in the coal mine at this point. Evergreen Mountain says that boy Jesse Love is almost as good at racing on super speedways and super speedway accessories as his teammate Bobby Austin Hill. I'll tell you what propane. Chris for the 5 years says Junior's wallet thoughts. All 4 cars wrecked. We got some stage points and Quapple finished well. Bright side, we're no longer paying for Brandon Jones, who still crashed. Not of his own doing, but yeah, Brandon Jones crashing. You know, it's as necessary to the Xfinity Series as it is for me to drink water. Video game sports for the 5. They need to get those audio issues fixed on the CW. I couldn't hear anything they were saying over the engine sound and music. There were some pretty major mess ups at different points. There were times they were popping the music up, or they were, showing replays and then it'd go away and then they pop it back up. Like, again, I thought they did pretty darn good a lot of the time. Sound had a lot of issues at different points. I'm really, really not looking forward to the fact that they could be doing a lot of remote broadcasts. I don't want to see that. Those broadcasts just get worse. If I wanted somebody to do a remote broadcast where they're not at the track, I'd watch an iRacing broadcast, because at least then, like, we can control some of the stuff to be able to see, and we don't have to, call cautions for like one car spins. That's about the best way I could go about watching or participating even in a remote broadcast. I'd hate to do it if you're just following the crappy cameras that a lot of the NASCAR productions or especially Fox have. Oof. Sly Supersonic says the day after Valentine's Day, the power of love conquered all. I love you, Jarrett. Well, thank you. I love you too. I love all you guys in the chat, positive or negative about me. I love that all you guys come hang out. It's awesome having so many of you guys each week, having our own little community. We all hang out and chill and all that. RCR had this race on lock. The race gets an 8 out of 10. CW gets an 8 out of 10. Funny enough, because I know quite a bit of people now that work in like, waiting and servers in general. The day after Valentine's Day is known as Cheaters Day, because a lot of or like the side piece day, because a lot of people bring out their side pieces the day after Valentine's Day, and that's their date, which is really messed up. But if it pays servers, I'm cool with it, man. Red Dog, how's it going? Got a couple here. Says, congrats, love on blocking, and blocking. Yes. Block. Another one here says part 2, and blocking, continued. And blocking his way to a win, which is fine, but still. Oh, and retroactive lower the rating of trucks race to 0 out of 10. Give my boy Parker Kligerman his win. Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see the appeal and what happens with all that. I doubt they're going to give the win back, just because even if nothing happened, or if they can prove that it wasn't cheating, they're going to they're totally just going to say no, because they don't want to rewrite the story on a Tuesday for the race. I don't know if you can hear it, but sirens are ringing. Not the siren, the sirens. Here comes the ambulance, or as an Earnhardt would say, ambulance. No, you definitely can hear it now. Blocking times 100. Yes. Justin here with the 5 says, all I know is seeing the ticker on the bottom of the screen looks better than seeing it on the left of the screen. I agree. And I think that's something that Fox, NBC, Prime, TNT, they all can do. TNT did it before with the wide open coverage. Damn, man. Damn, they're loud. There's like 4 of them going by right now. I think that's something they can do to improve it. We live in a widescreen society. It's been this way for like 15 years. Why are we basically putting it back to like a 4:3 aspect ratio with, this whole part of the screen, or no, sorry, this whole part of the screen here getting taken up? I've never been crazy about that. Michael here says, for the 5, top 10 will probably change. Taylor Gray looked like one other crossed the orange box for pit road before the checkered flag. Yeah, it'll change as it goes. If there's any major changes, I'll put it as a pinned comment after this. David Bell, welcome back to being a member. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. I like that profile pic. I like that I can put your guys' stuff on screen now so I can see your profile pics. And I already know that's going to bite me in the ass at some point this year. And that's the fate I've accepted. Aaron says Alan Bestwick in their CW booth would help with the booth. Yeah, I mean, Alan Bestwick, I think, would be the best of the best at this point. But I'm still an Adam Alexander stan. I know. If I'm gonna have Alan Bestwick, I want him replacing Mike Joy when he retires, because Bestwick will probably be good for another 10, 15 years, give or take, after Joy retires, probably 10 more than likely. And I would love to hear Alan Bestwick calling Daytona 500s again. I think it would bring a nice weight and prestige back to the sport and back to the event. Twin Spinner says, to LePage is human, to Chris Wright is divine. Chris here for the two says, how long till roundabouts put in before the pits? That would be pretty funny. Only if they put it in, they have to have the song Roundabout play when they do a segment about it. Like, and that's the only song that can play. Fred Dog with the two says, two lefts on pit road apparently make a right. You guys are bad. I love it. I love it. I live right outside of a roundabout. That's the funniest part of you saying that. And it's like, so many people down here, because I moved down to Tennessee, like so many people have problems with roundabouts, whereas like up north, I'd had them for like 10 years or so. So I'd had them basically since I started driving. And like, honest to God, if you're just paying attention, roundabouts are not difficult at all. Like, people just over exaggerate it. I get that's probably a hot take for Americans to say. I know it's a bigger thing over in Europe, but I don't get the problems that people have with roundabouts. I really don't. Chris here with the 5 years says, rumor has it Fox zooms are a new unit of scientific measure on the electron microscopes. Zooming in any tighter, we'd see electrons and protons. I love that. That's awesome. That's funny as hell, man. Atoms. Nice profile pic too. Love that 8. But yeah, that was the Xfinity race. So we got one to go this week, the Daytona 500. The start time moved up to 1:30 Eastern time because of the inclement weather. The forecast looking more and more like we're probably going to get the majority of the race in one sitting. Again, if you're going with the president being there, get there early. Get there early. I went through this in 2020. I got there like 2 hours earlier than I wanted to. The security measures are no joke to get through. So definitely get there early. I'm just letting everyone know it's going to be there. There's probably going to be like 130, 150 more thousand people there. Yeah, you got to do that. Andrew, the 5 says, Sal told Sheldon Creed he was clear when he wasn't, which makes him tonight's big loser. I'm here all year and it will not get old. No, it won't. That's one of my favorite little things that we've already had this year. And Justin says, what is your top 5 pit reporters? We're talking about all time, or if we're talking all time, that's difficult. If we're talking about right now, it's still difficult because I keep cutting them off. I'll go all time. Number 1, Steve Burns. Love Steve Burns. Loved him on Race Hub. I always thought he was awesome. Dick Berggren, like a lot of that Fox crew. Matt Yoakum, who was there all year because he did NBC races too. I'll say Jamie Little. Like, I think she's really, really good. And then the first 2 years I watched Alan Bestwick, I guess, because Bill Weber was the lead commentator for NBC at the time, and Alan Bestwick was in the pits. So I guess those 5. There's been others that are pretty good, like Sims is pretty good. Shannon Spake I thought was pretty good, and Dr. Jerry Punch. There's NASCAR has definitely had no shortage of great pit reporters. It wasn't like that one dude who was on the sideline for an NFL game who's like, they are all out there having fun. And I'm like, okay, can you give me some insight? But NASCAR, there's not really, like, I can't think of a terrible NASCAR pit reporter that's been up in the NASCAR Cup Series, especially. I'd say like, obviously in the lower ones, there's been ones that aren't as good, but in the Cup Series, at least from when I've watched, like the worst pit reporters are kind of just like mediocre and they could just be easily replaced. Um, so this is fun. We're having fun. Um, No, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow. We'll be live 10:30 Eastern time is my plan. I'll be live for an hour, hour and a half, just talking pre-race, different storylines, separate, quotes that'll be coming out around that time. And then of course, post-race will be live again. So definitely come on in and hang out. Aaron here with the 5. Austin Hill, I'd rather be spun on the backstretch and land on my lid than lose by a mechanical failure. Everyone else in the field, then the devil emoji there. I like it. I still think we're gonna see flips tomorrow. And Justin here with the 5 says Dick Berggren, Bill Weber, Jerry Punch, Burns, and Yoakum. Like I said, man, NASCAR has had a good history of pit reporters. And your 5th super chat on the channel too. Thank you. All right, I think that's gonna be it. I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. And let's see. Jared reacting to emojis is something I didn't know I needed. Yeah. All right. We're going to end it out. Y'all have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Can't wait. Daytona 500 is now well under 24 hours away. Knock on wood, nothing happens weather-wise, because it's Florida weather, so it could change at any time. But I will see y'all tomorrow, and have a great night. Bye, y'all.